You have probably seen this image of these Apple AirPod Pros like everywhere. In addition to beautiful products, Apple is also known for its innovative marketing and art direction. And although this image is probably a 3D model, there was still a lighting designer that had to light the environment for that model. And after seeing this image around a few times, it got me thinking, I wonder how close Halumin could get in the real world on a real set of AirPod Pros. I have a set of AirPod Pros. I use them every day and they show a little bit of use, but that might make it interesting. Call this the dystopian version of that beautiful clean image by Apple. So it took me quite a while to actually rig these things together to look like this. It took a little bit of wire and a whole lot of hot glue. I am incorporating that into a time lapse so you don't have to sit through that arduous process. And then once I actually got them suspended on a C-stand, the wire that I used was a little bit too lightweight for the task at hand, and it kept slowly sagging. So every time I would get the frame lined up, I would go to take the picture and notice that it was now hanging below the frame. In retrospect, I could have done this image as a flat lay with a lot less effort, but that's the fun part of experimenting. You learn by doing. I finally got the timing down, and I was pretty blown away with the results. I hope that you are as well. Now, the moral of this story is that the bulk of the time that I spent was not on the lighting of this image. All the time was spent just suspending this thing in midair. Anyway, enjoy the video, and I hope that this is a great example for you of how Halumin can help you light like Apple, only the easy way with a lot less effort. Unless, of course, you're trying to suspend your AirPods with wire and hot glue, and then you might be in for a time. Unfolding Halumin and attaching the lights takes about 3 minutes. Then attaching the accessory legs and making adjustments, another 2 minutes. So in 5 minutes, our setup for lighting is done. There was still some additional fidgeting with the rigging for reasons that I spoke about earlier. While we fast forward through that, let's talk about the lighting and why Halumin works for this image. The original image is lit with sort of a 360-degree hatchet lighting, but you can see the lighting wraps around the entire perimeter of the AirPods seamlessly, encroaching into the front surface, but not enough to illuminate the front face. That means the lighting is set up slightly behind the subject, but it wraps entirely around the subject. This look is actually something you can find in a lot of product photography, and traditionally you would need a setup of multiple softboxes and reflectors to shape the light around the subject this way. Doing that would require multiple stands and modifiers, and it would take some time. Plus you're lugging that gear in and out of your location. But Halumin just does this by design, and you can use speedlights to power it. The hardest part of the Halumin setup is adjusting the accessory legs into the perfect position, and that only took 2 minutes. So with Halumin, everything you need for lighting fits into this small bag, and it fully sets up in 5 minutes. There's also a consistency of Halumin with the settings of your camera and your lighting between projects, because the intensity of the lighting that you need in the staging area is always going to be about the same. For this image, I was shooting at a slightly higher f-stop than I typically would, so my lights were powered at 90% power instead of the 70% that I usually use, but my aperture was at f12. After the lighting setup, I'm ready to fire my very first test shot, and this happens. I'm going to do a test shot. Huh. Yep. Well then. That looks pretty close. Beautiful. At this point, I'm done. It's time to take my one little Halumin lighting bag and go. How many times have you lugged in a lot of gear for an image that you could have captured effortlessly with Halumin?